So one of the questions is, when do you dance with a veil? You can dance with a veil in almost any venue. You can dance with a veil on a big stage, you can dance with a veil at a private party, you can dance with a veil in a restaurant, you can dance with a veil in a nightclub. There's really no right or wrong time of when you should or should not dance with a veil. There's just a few things you want to think about when you are dancing with your veil. Your veil is a prop, and the best way to show off your prop is to have a very proper body line. So a lot of the times you're holding a very strong body line and pose so that you can really display and show off your veil to the best of its ability. Okay, so posture is key, and we're going to be working on that in a lot of the drills later on in the video. Okay, so and the veil has really evolved over time. In the last 30 years or so, what people do with the veil and things like double veil have really evolved, so it could even be considered a type of fusion. So especially when we're talking about fusion, we really have freedom to play and create and to have fun and to not adhere to strict rules about this is the way that it's done. So as long as you're dancing beautifully and you have a beautiful body line, there's really no wrong that you can do with the veil. Another important thing is music selection. You can dance to slow music, you can dance to fast music. Whatever you do, you just want to match the mood of your music with your veil. So a couple other things we're going to talk about are, how do you hold your veil? And again, there's really no right or wrong way if it works for you. If your veil flows and you feel like you have a good handle of the veil and that you're not like gripping and manhandling the veil, then you're probably doing it in a way that is proper and will work. So what I mean is, when you're working with your veil, you don't want people looking at your hands. You don't want people watching how is she holding the veil. You want the attention to be on the veil itself. So if I'm like holding my veil like this, the first thing you're probably seeing is like, wow, that doesn't look really pretty. So one of my favorite ways to hold the veil, especially when I'm doing single veil, is what I call a pinch. And I'm literally just pinching my first finger and my thumb finger right here on the edge. So you want to kind of find the center of your veil. Now, this can change depending on what it is that you're doing with your veil. But for the most part, if I were to hold my veil across my shoulders, I want it to be centered, and I want it to be taut across the span of my arms. This is about where you want to have a grip on your veil. So you don't want too much slack back here, and you don't want it too tight. So right there in the middle is about perfect width apart for where you're going to hold your veil. And like I said, you can do the pinch. One of my favorites, and I use this one a lot. Another one you can do is the scissors grip. So this one you're actually holding it here like this, in between the middle and the pointer finger, in a scissors hold. And whichever one you use, you just want to make sure that you have a good grip with the veil and that it's not going to slip out of your hands. And that, again, it looks graceful and pretty, and that the attention is drawn to the movements of the veil and not to the hands holding it. And then one of my other favorite holds is one that you can use, and you can actually play finger cymbals at the same time. So you hold it with the pinky, and you can use this one too if you want a little bit of an extra grip. And you're actually going to hold and clamp the veil down here with the palm of the hands and these fingers. And then that way you have your middle finger and your thumb to play finger cymbals with. So I'll show you that one real quick. I'm going to take the veil in about that spot, and at this point I've worked with veil for so many years that I just automatically know how to find exactly where am I going to hold my veil. But again, if you ever forget, find the center of your veil. Sometimes if you fold it, you'll find the center mark, and then make sure that it's taut across your arm span. So from here, I'm going to take the pinky finger to start, and I'm going to clamp it down. Just your pinky finger is enough to hold it. But if you feel like you want a little extra security, take these two fingers here and clamp it down. Okay, and then I have these two fingers left that I can put on my finger cymbals here. And I can play my finger cymbals, and I can use my veil at the same time, which is really nice for something like a restaurant or a private party. I would never not dance with my finger cymbals in a restaurant. I really love how it can get the attention of the crowd. And then I also have the ability to have a really grand entrance with my veil. So again, that's holding it down with these two fingers here, or just your pinky finger if you feel comfortable with that. And there you are. And then you have your finger cymbals on. So we're also going to be talking about ways of entering and then releasing the veil when we no longer want to use it as we go through some of our drills and our combinations. So I am hoping that you can use some of these techniques and get as creative as you like to be with your veil. We're going to talk about creating moods with our entrances. So we have several different options for how we want to enter, and again, I'm just going to show you a handful of them. You might have some already that you do on your own. And as always, be creative and come up with some different ones that match the mood of your music and what you want to portray on your stage. So two very simple and easy yet very effective ones is one that I call the dynamic diva. You're just going to be entering, so there's nothing that you're doing with your veil other than you're coming straight from off your stage and you're coming in with a whole lot of energy and you're just letting your veil do the talking as you make your grand entrance. So a couple ways we can do this. If we're starting from off stage at the right time in your music, you would just enter in, big posture, really showing off that veil. So there's a number of ways you can do that. Taking up your space, claiming your stage, greeting your audience. This is one that I call dynamic diva. Another way that we can work with the dynamic diva is coming in, and one that I call the angel. We'll be working with this one later, but we come in, which is just a really nice way to come in and claim your stage and say hello to your audience. Another easy one, but also very effective for creating a mood, I call it the mysterious. So like we talked about earlier, we want to have our veil taut across the back, centered, and you're just going to cross one forearm over the top of the other forearm and rest it here. And I think this one looks really nice when you're right here underneath the eye level. Another thing you can do is take the hands, place the hands on top of each other, and arch them just enough that they kind of cradle right underneath the eyes. You could also cradle underneath the chin if you wanted to do some head slides. And we're going to be playing with this one in a combination we do in this video, so we'll have more opportunity to work with that. And that again is your mysterious entrance. So you're here, you just fold one forearm over the other and place the level of your veil where you like it, either under the eyes, under the chin. You could start with it higher, bring it lower with the music. And it's very easy to get out of. You just lift and release. You could do a combination of the dynamic diva and the mysterious. You could start in your mysterious wrap, start with a little dancing, pop out of that, and dynamic diva. Great job. Next, we're going to talk about a couple varieties and ways to tuck. So a tuck is nice when you want to really come out and do something like an unveiling. I like, for restaurants, for example, it's nice to come out, you're tucked, your actual veil is covering your costume, so that can be part of your dance set, is dancing around in the veil for a song or two, and that way the big reveal of your costume is still a big surprise and excitement for your audience. Another nice thing about tucks is you can freely play your finger cymbals for a song or two, and then go ahead and take the finger cymbals off and come back out, and voila, you have your veil to dance with. So tucks can be pretty exciting, and they're really, really easy. So the first tuck we're going to do is literally just a hip tuck, It's very simple. You'll probably want to get in front of a mirror to go ahead and measure where exactly it needs to be. So, for example, I'm going to take my veil. Again, it's centered across my body. And I'm just going to grab it. Say, for me, I think I'm going to start about here, and I'm going to start to bunch and gather the veil. And I'm just going to tuck it about right here in my hip. Not too tightly. I'm just literally going to place it inside gently. You want it in enough that it will hold and that it won't fall out, but you don't want it so tight that you have to struggle to get the veil out later. So again, all these tucks and entrances take a little bit of practice getting used to. You'll probably have to do them several times over and over. And then I'm going to just check and make sure that my veil isn't going to hang too low in the back, that I would step on it, trip on my veil. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to gather, and then I'm going to gently but securely tuck in the other hip. Then I'm going to get in front of the mirror, and I'm going to make sure that for the most part it looks even. You kind of want it to blend in with your costume so that it looks like it's part of it, and later on when you take it off, it's like, wow, that was cool. So now I feel like I look pretty even. This is a nice way that, again, like I mentioned, I can come out and I can be dancing, I can be playing finger cymbals. And then when I want to retrieve my veil, it's pretty simple. Again, there's a variety of ways you could do it. You could pull from the front, and you literally just pull it out in one nice secure swoop. You can also pull from the back. I can just take my hands down